everyone, this is Nikki Sun here at Aperture for NAB Show Live. Yesterday we did interview my friend Gigi, who hooked it up with 2 Aperture MC lights so we can light that tunnel shot interview with Drex Lee, I guess 2 days ago. But now we're actually at the booth because I wanted to give the audience at home a view. But I have a very special guest next to me who is a content creator and also a filmmaker, cinematographer, Brady Passett. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you doing?
Oh, fantastic. I mean, how many years have you been at NAB Show?
This is my 2nd year at NAB, and I love it. This is a great year to be here.
Yeah, well, this is the centennial, so 100 years of broadcasting excellence, and if this is your 2nd time, what has been the biggest change from the first time you came here until now?
The foot traffic is so much heavier, and a lot of really great names. A lot of people that I've talked with through social media in the industry are here this year, so it's there's a huge collaborative aspect to it. So I'm just happy to be here. And then the brands, it seems like there's got to be a lot more vendors here as well. It just seems a lot more lively this year.
Yeah, we're just giving a little love to Aperture. Could you tell us a little bit about what you do and how Aperture has helped fuel your creative process as a cinematographer?
Yeah, so I'm a cinematographer, but also I love teaching. When I grew up, I always wanted to learn through YouTube. And there weren't always the resources that I needed. So there was a down point around COVID where I was I want to just teach somebody, just want to help out. So I put out a couple educational videos on YouTube, and that just kind of took traction because everybody was watching YouTube. And then from there, it just really carved me into the lighting world. And I realized the importance of lighting, especially even more so then. And then down the line, a few steps later, Aperture came into the picture. And of course, it's been extremely helpful with providing gear, providing more education opportunities. And I'm just happy to be with Aperture.
I know. So I hear you're a brand ambassador now, but when you were starting your cinematography channel, or even before that, were you using Aperture lights beforehand? And we can be completely honest because, again, when we come here to the NAB Show, this is where a lot of connections happen. And I didn't even know Aperture until I came to NAB Show. So what was the connection like? Did you know Aperture before you started working with their lights?
Yeah, because I'm definitely newer into the industry. So I feel like I've kind of grown with the LED world just because I'm younger. So I kind of worked with the budget that I had. So I had some Aperture lights, but in my younger years, I could only afford something like a 120D or on the more budget side of lights back 3-4 years ago, they really had a 120D and a few other options. So I had some other cheap panels, but other than that, it would be rent gear when possible. But it's been fun to grow kind of my career as they've come out with a lot more professional, impressive products.
Yeah, so as an ambassador, you probably know way more than I do. You probably even know way more of the lights that just came out. So for beginning content creators or those watching at home who couldn't make it here at the show today, what kind of lights would you recommend, must have ready in your kit or maybe at home in your studio? What are some of the lights that you would recommend from the Aperture's line?
So 100% if we're a content creator, starting to build, starting to grow, going towards the Amaran line, you're still getting a great quality light, but you're sacrificing things that you wouldn't use unless you're on a professional film set, like wireless DMX, stuff like that. All that to say, it's a lot more affordable with a great quality light fixture. So something along the lines of an Amaran. I mean, there's the new 150 and 300Cs, which are great because it's a point source, so you can soften it, you can make it hard, you get all the whole range of colors and bicolor. But also, I use all the times, even on my larger film sets, the Amaran F22C, just because it's so versatile. You can put it in a really low ceiling or hang it overhead. And just getting fixtures like that are really diverse and giving you a lot of options is really helpful. And the Amaran line, even though it's on the cheaper side, it's not cheaper quality. It's not like your light is going to be bad quality.
Yeah, so I currently work with the Amaran 100D on my right side, and I do have the Aperture 120. I love also that it is Bluetooth Sidus Link controllable. So can you talk about what that means for filmmakers?
So with Sidus Link, it's really something that is game-changing in the industry, honestly. And I still, whenever I do a lot of gaffing work as well, so I'm always there, I'm pulling out the light, and they're you just changed that light with Sidus Link. And people are always shocked with it. So essentially it's just, you put yourself in a library or a project and connect all of them through Bluetooth, pull it open, you can change the output, you can change the color, depending on the light, whatever it is. So it makes it really easy to just one-man band, say it's just you and one other person, and you're running around, and there's a light that you've got in the back of the room in 10 seconds to get the shot, you can just pull it up, change it, do what you need to do. It's so much easier.
It's crazy. Like, technology has changed so much, especially in the lighting. You mentioned that you're a little bit on the younger generation, so you have no idea what, like, maybe the tungsten with the climbing up the ladders was.
Yeah.
But what, in the short time that you have been here and just playing with the lights and starting a channel, what has been the biggest change that you feel like people need to adapt to in order to, like, continue creating?
Okay, let's think on that for a second. So the biggest change as far as like the LED world or like adapting with it?
The lighting world, like what has been the biggest change that people need to understand when they're just branching out to becoming a content creator?
I think that there's this new world of, I guess, LEDs and like the functionality of like the Bluetooth compatibility and stuff like that, where to those maybe a little bit older in the industry or getting into it is like, things are so easy with such lightweight kits. And that, I guess it's a new approach to it. When Aperture started, I know it was like point source, Bowens mount LED modifier or LED lights were not going to be a thing in the industry. But then, of course, push came to shove a few years later. It's been proven otherwise. So there's a lot of change that happens, especially with the lighting industry. And now I feel like it's at a point where everything is evolving so fast that even for me, it's hard to keep up though, because there's a lot of new updates and a lot of competing brands. It just keeps going up the ladder really fast.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, we talk about products too. Do you ever feel the pressure that, oh my gosh, there's something new coming out, I have to get that and I get that? Or like, what would you like to say to maybe the younger generation who feels like they can't start, they're paralyzed because they feel like they need X, Y, and Z in order to start? Because I think at the end of the day is creative storytelling, that's the key, and all of these things are helping guide that. But what say you?
It's an easy rabbit hole to go down, 100%. I find myself going down it for sure, of like, oh, this brand new light come out, my product can't be, or like my image can't be good unless I use the newest thing, which is nonsense, really. And it's kind of going back to remind yourself that it comes down to the story side of things, and you can really create with even like lights from Home Depot. You can get a good image, and it's more understanding the fundamentals of how to make it work and not getting so caught up on, well, I can't have this $3,000 light, or like I can't afford it, or whatever it is. You can still do stuff with a cheaper Amaran light, or like, you know, even a Home Depot light. So it's going back to the fundamentals and not to get caught up on like the brand new fixtures, because I've done that so many times. I'm like, oh, I'm no good anymore. My gear is 2 years old, which it was good 2 years ago. You can do a lot with it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Brady Doucette, for giving us an overview of what you do as a cinematographer and giving us more on Aperture. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the NAB show. We're going to toss it back to Ryan.
Hey, Nikki, thanks so much. We're over here we're in West Hall, I guess. Yep, we're with Nick Nickus with AT&T Business. How you doing, Nick?
Doing good today. How are you?
Doing great. So I love toys. You know, I like physical things like trucks and big we almost bought a production truck last year. We're still thinking about it. So anyways, we're in an AT&T Business production truck, right?
Yes.
So let's just talk about your relationship with PSSI.
Mm-hmm. So AT&T has joined up and partnered up with PSSI for a multitude of mobile solutions. So whether it be a small urban fiber dense deployment, a medium wireless dense solution, or even a rural in the middle of nowhere satellite only deployment, we're partnered up and we do a lot of production with them.
Awesome. So again, I like toys, right? So I'm just kind of looking here, and of course we're at the NAB show. I'm seeing all sorts of gear that I know from all sorts of exhibitors, Everts, Wohler. We've got tons of Wohler stuff at the studio.
They're the best.
The truck was built by Frontline Communications. I know Frontline.
Oh, heck yeah.
When we were going to buy a truck last year, it was built by Frontline, actually.
Yeah.
It looks like you've got a Everts multi-frame here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe just talk about some of the features in here. Oh, I see Studio Technologies. You got comms from them.
You bet. So, I mean, this is really a Swiss Army knife. We have to have kind of a multitude and a vast amount of equipment in here to do both transmission with the satellite dish and some light processing, encoding and decoding. So you have an encode and decode stack. You have obviously your monitoring suite, your switching suite, what you kind of pecked out there. But also you have your satellite RF control up here at the very top.
Great.
It's literally anywhere, any place you want to go. We could take your camera feeds. We could take anything you want to send to the outside world, your digital workflows. Even if you want to do data over satellite, not necessarily video over satellite, but just pure transmit and receive data. They have all the technology to do that.
Well, that's exciting. I'm even seeing we have the same JVC monitors you guys have, and you've got the FS1, I think, over there. We've used those before. Yeah. So, all right. So again, I'm trying to understand the thing. So AT&T Business owns the truck, or PSSI owns the truck?
PSSI owns the truck and usually the labor to do the satellite uplink, and AT&T brokers the business and the feeds, and we also do a lot of satellite and also fiber hybridization. So if we're doing a big event and PSSI is on site, we actually could either use fiber optic out of the vehicle or satellite out of the vehicle. If it's going fiber optic, it's almost always riding the AT&T network and going to the outside world.
Okay.
And that's really kind of where the two worlds meet, between satellite and fiber. We've merged them together into a lot of the vehicles to where it's like the ultimate in transmission.
So just one other question. I was speaking with Bill Bright just a second ago, and I think maybe I'm wrong, Bill, was it NASCAR that you mentioned?
Subaru, the rally.
Subaru, the rally. So if you could just talk about that a little bit, I thought that was quite cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Subaru rally, which is on the monitor behind you, it was the most rural, most extreme outdoors event that you can think of. I mean, it's there's no cellular, there's nothing really out there that we can leverage. There's no fiber in the woods out there. So we used the culmination of our privatized AT&T 5G technology to bring a lot of the media and cameras back. And obviously we used a high bitrate data link via satellite to our fiber network and for distribution. So it literally went 5G to the truck, satellite to our fiber infrastructure. It was a perfect hybridization of all the workflows.
Awesome. So one last question. For somebody that doesn't understand the throughput going through a satellite for bandwidth, and when I was looking at a truck last year, I didn't even, just because I never had a satellite, right? I had learned that you can send data through a satellite other than just straight video, right? Just kind of curious what that looks like.
Sure. So you have basically a single transponder and how much data you can put on it. And then you also have the bonding of transponders where you can kind of mux them together. PSSI uses a multitude of different old school nomenclature, modems, let's just call them that, to actually bring all that together and do an RF transmit and receive. I know that they're pushing the boundaries of up to 200 megabits with some technologies on some single transponders. So they're really, really pushing the boundaries of what a single transponder can do for data up and down.
Wow, that's awesome. It almost sounds like you're doing some kind of bonding or aggregation.
Oh, I would say they definitely. I say they, but it's really the folks that make those modems and those bonding technologies. They are pushing the extreme limits of what you can do with the transponder.
Oh, that's cool. And just one quick note. So we're gonna go to another area in a little bit here, but I noticed that a gentleman from Bristol, Connecticut, from ESPN actually was just messaging us a minute ago, asking us to hit a booth. We're gonna try to hit that for you in a little bit. That's telemetrics. We're gonna try to go over there. Nick Nickus, thank you so much. I love. You already hit it. All right, great. My bad. So anyways, I love talking trucks. I love talking this kind of stuff, fun toys. I appreciate it. Have an awesome rest of your NAB show.
You have a good show.
All right, back to you guys.